This sense of no human being should live in an unconsecrated space is something which is deep-rooted in this culture, because it is just like if you plant something into this earth, only if the roots are sticking into a rich earth will the flower and the fruit come out. If the earth into which these roots are sticking in is not rich enough, is not enhanced enough to sustain life, flower and fruit will not come. Even if it comes, it will be too meager. It will never be a full-blown flowering, it will never be a full-blown fruiting of the plant. So always these aspects, we gave enormous importance to these aspects of life. It's not just about what you eat, it's not just about what kind of work you do, what kind of space you live in. This is very important in the East. So, people always consecrated their homes in whichever way they know best, and only then moved in. If the kings were sensible and benevolent, they consecrated the whole town. They created any number of places in the town so that the whole town is consecrated. He wants everybody to live in consecrated spaces. If you walk on the street, if you do business, if you live in that town, everyone must constantly live in consecrated space, because if you want to produce generations of enhanced human beings, you need this kind of space. Otherwise, only by accident or by personal dint, somebody may become something. You won't produce a generation of beautiful people. This culture produced a galaxy of knowledge, a galaxy of enlightened beings. Every generation produced this simply because they took care of any number of aspects like this. Nowhere else on this planet have single generations of people risen to such glorious heights of knowing as this culture has known. But all that got fractured in the last few hundred years. In the last 800 to 900 years, this got badly fractured because of invasions and displacement of people and so many things. You can produce very great intellects, very great energy as human beings, I'm saying, individual human beings carrying phenomenal sense of energy and intellect and capability. If you create large spaces of consecrated space, large consecrated spaces where the whole generation of people are in touch with that kind of energy and space. This fortune almost every family had, because before they moved into homes, they did this. Periodically, they did something to enhance the house. This is part of almost every house. Every household, at least once a year, conducted the needed rituals and processes to see that the space in the house is enhanced. A basic understanding, or rather an essential understanding of how to generate a conducive atmosphere for a human being to grow to his full potential.
Now, don't you think that would be the beginning of all the problems? Because if you take history, all the major battles have been fought because of theism, because of religion. This thing could be labeled differently. I mean, a temple in every city could be labeled.
No, I did not say temple in every city, did I say that? I said you must… your home, your city, your town and your state and your nation and the world should become like a temple. That cannot be done by building more temples. That can only be done by you being in touch with the divine. And anyway, about the major wars, you need to understand this. There never was any kind of religious war till about 2000 years ago, okay? Not even 2000, about 1700 years ago. There never was, because in the East, in this part of the world, there was no such thing as religion. If you do not know this, this is the only religionless culture, godless culture. This may be a little scary for people, because we have 33 million gods and goddesses in this country. That happened when our population was 33 million. Since then, our population has increased, but we did not create enough gods and goddesses. Because of Western influence, we started feeling ashamed of gods and goddesses. If each one of you, there's something called as Ishtadevata, you can create your own god. You don't like any of the things available, you can make a tree in your house, God, you worship it. Nobody will think it's an odd thing in this country. There's a rock in your garden, you can worship it, nobody will think it's odd. You can worship your mother, you can worship your wife, you can worship your child, you can worship a cow, whatever you want. But the important thing is, there should be devotion in your heart, because if there is no devotion, with this much intelligence, this animal will go crazy. It needs devotion. Devotion means not about God, about you, isn't it? Is devotion about you or about God? Whose quality does it change? Whose quality does it change? Your quality or God's quality? It's about you. It's about transforming you into a certain level of sweetness which cannot be contaminated from outside. This is what devotion means. That you are devout means you have created a certain sweetness in your emotion which cannot be contaminated, which cannot be made bitter by somebody else. If you love this person, if this person gets against you, your love becomes poison, isn't it? Yes or no? So devotion is that dimension of intelligence where you know how to manage your sweetness irrespective of what the world is doing to you and the people are doing to you. If you don't have this capability, you will not go very far in this world, isn't it? If you have the fear that you could become bitter, you will only take baby steps in your life. If you know, no matter what happens, this is how I am. It does not matter what happens to me in this world, this is how I will be. If this assurance you have, only then you take full strides into the world. Otherwise, you will always take hesitating strides into the world, isn't it? So, there has never been a religion in this country, I want you to know. What you call as Hindu is a geographical identity. Anybody who's born in the land of Indus is a Hindu. You can believe in God and be a Hindu. You can disbelieve in God and be a Hindu. In your house, if you have 5 people can worship 5 different types of gods and still be okay with each other. This is not allowed anywhere else, because here we know that God is man's making. It is a device that we have created to touch the divine. Yes? If you do not understand this, how did all the gods come? We want to create devices to somehow touch the dimension, which is the basis of creation. So we evolved a whole technology of God-making, not just creating forms, energizing them in such a way that it will assist you to touch that dimension of life. Everything is same energy. If you take some filth from the gutter and throw it at the root of the mango tree, it becomes a mango. The filth and the mango are same, isn't it? So why don't you just eat the filth, not the mango? No, you cannot eat that, but the mango you want to eat. This filth has been transformed into such sweetness, isn't it? What you call as earth that you walk upon is what is sitting here as your body and my body, isn't it? Yes or no? So it is the same thing, but it can be transformed into different dimensions of sweetness and energy and possibility, though it's the same thing. So understanding this, we evolved a whole science of consecration where we know how to turn a stone into divine. It is not a simple process. It is not just by belief. It is not just because of somebody believes it. It will reverberate. There is a whole science as to how to energize a space. Simply you can energize this space, make it crackle. You can take any object and make it. For example, if you are sensitive, you hold this in your hand, I will just hold it in my hand for 1 minute and give it to you, it'll feel different. Only problem is, this object will not be able to hold that energy for too long. After some time, it'll dissipate and again become a metal plate. If you create this form with the necessary care, you can energize it in a way that it stays for a long period. So, we can consecrate an object. What is just stone right now will reverberate with a tremendous field of energy. If people come and just sit there, their lives are transformed. It is for this the temples were built. Temples are not a place of worship. Nobody is leading a prayer. There is no philosophy being propounded. But they told you one thing, if you go to the temple, you must sit there for some time. Did they tell you this? Huh? Nobody told you you have to send an application to God, but they told you you must sit there for some time. Now these days you're just touching your bottom to the floor and running away. That is not the idea. This is like a public battery charging place. If the place is kept alive, if you sit there, your life can transform itself, if it is properly created. I am talking about the ancient temples. Today's temples, many of them are built like shopping complexes, probably for the same purpose, that's a different thing. But if it's properly done, it is a phenomenally energizing space. Life can change simply sitting there.
We are referring to Dhyanalingam as a yogic temple. What exactly do we mean by this?
As you know, it's a temple without ritual, no worship, no ritual, no mantras, tantras, nothing happening, it's in silence. As the name itself indicates, it's a dhyana linga. First of all, what's a linga? I think they've spoken to you about this, isn't it? Yes? What is a linga, dhyana linga, everything, okay. What does it mean by saying it's a yogic temple? What is yoga, first of all? Yoga means that which leads you towards ultimate union. Ultimate union means, you must understand this, the flip side of it. Those are marketing terminologies. If you have to become one with everything, what should happen, you tell me? If you must become one with everything, what should happen to you? You must expand? How much should you expand? So you're going to become a real big guy. So you must cease to exist, isn't it? As long as you exist as an individual, there's no question of including everything, there's no question of everything becoming a part of you or you becoming a part of everything. Only when you cease to exist, you become one with everything. So you must understand this. Some traditions have used positive words for this. They call this mukti, kingdom of heaven, whatever they want. But these things will set off too much imagination. People are imagining all kinds of nonsense, that they'll go to heaven, they'll sit in God's lap. I don't know why the hell he would have you in his lap. All that nonsense. So, some traditions employed negative terminology so that your imagination doesn't get fired. When Gautama described ultimate nature, he said nirvana. Nirvana means non-existence. Yoga describes it as shunya, once again emptiness, so that your imagination doesn't fly off, imagining all kinds of fanciful things. You know, the Hindu heaven is full of red and gold furniture, horrible aesthetics, you know? You don't know? You don't know how the heaven looks? Oh, none of your forefathers went. Nobody made it. Nobody made it, that's bad. That's a bad family tree. You didn't do the karmas properly for your grandfathers and whatever? So this is all the time happening.
It happened to Akbar. Akbar was having a haircut in the morning, a shave rather. And a crow came and sat there and did its own ka. The barber, instead of being focused on his work, when you're shaving an emperor, you better be focused. Instead of being focused, he started listening to the crow with great attention. Akbar said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Wait, Your Majesty, just wait." And he listened to the crow with great attention. Akbar asked, What are you listening to, a crow? Do you understand the bird's language?" He said, "Yes, Your Majesty, I understand the bird language, just wait. He's saying something very important." Akbar also got fascinated by this. He also sat there like a fool, half his face shaved. And after some time, the barber shook his head and said "Oh, Your Majesty, the crow has come from the heavens and it seems all your forefathers who are all in heaven, horrible guys, where will they go to? Heaven, all your forefathers who are in heaven, their problem is there is nobody to entertain them. They need somebody to entertain them. They're all sad because there is nobody to entertain them. There's no one wise person who can say something nice and intelligent because only idiots go there. Whatever. Akbar got really affected by this. What, my forefathers are unhappy in heaven? What should I do? The barber said, "They're requesting you to send somebody who is wise and witty. Whom should I send?" So 3 courtiers came, and the moment they heard this news, they said, "Oh, Your Majesty, I will go and serve your forefathers." All 3 of them competing with each other. But then the barber said, "No, you must send the best for your forefathers. I think Birbal is the best one. You cannot send second-class people. You must send the best for your forefathers." Akbar also felt, "Yes, I must send the best. Let Birbal go." How? So, the barber said, "I know a method as to how to send these people to heaven. Like this, you must make him sit on the ground at this particular place and build a whole huge of sandalwood and then put so much ghee and this and the works and then set fire and he will go to heaven." So Akbar said, "Okay, let's prepare, we'll send Birbal." The news went to Birbal and he was called. He came and Akbar said, "My forefathers need some entertainment, they need somebody to entertain them. There is nobody there, they're getting bored and unhappy, you must go." Birbal said, "By all means, what better thing can I do than serve your forefathers? Let me go." So, Birbal said, "I know this whole procedure very well, let me set this up myself. I know where it should be done, how it should be done. This is something that is there in our tradition, we send people to heaven like this, all this." And he set up his own thing and covered himself with sandalwood and everything, and it was set fire. He's supposed to go there, entertain them for a few months and then come back. 6 months, 8 months passed away. Birbal never came. Now Akbar started feeling, what happened? Did I make a mistake? Did he really go to heaven? Was it just burnt? And one day Birbal came to the court with a long beard. And he told the emperor, "I have really kept your people very happy, but there's one problem that they're really suffering from. There is no barber in the heaven. See, even I couldn't shave. And all your forefathers are just tripping on their own beards and falling flat on their faces. I kept them happy, but they have been tripping on their beards and falling down all the time. They need a barber. We must send the best barber. Who is the best barber? Of course, the emperor's barber. So, when the news went to the barber, it's time for him to go and shave those people up there, he cracked up. So we've been doing a lot of heaven stuff for a long time. We lived on stories for too long, you know. So, spirituality means you've given up your stories and you come down to reality. So, if you come to Dhyanalinga temple, you just shut up and sit down. You don't tell your story, nor is he going to tell his story. You just shut up and listen. Because the moment you have imagination going, you come there and imagine all kinds of things and it becomes reality. Imagination is more powerful than reality, isn't it? Isn't it so? You go see a cinema, people are experiencing cinema as a more powerful experience than life itself, isn't it so? People go to cinemas to see the scenery, to see sunset. Every day it's… the dam is sunset, the sun is rising and setting, but here they could not see it. They want to go it and see it in the theatre. Because imagination can play that kind of role which can make life bigger than life itself. So once you start imagining, once you believe a story and start imagining, there's no end to it. It can just get fired up in such a big way. It'll give you solace, but never a solution, please see. So, Dhyanalinga means no more stories, you just sit there. It's a yogic temple. Yoga means where the boundaries of your individual self are opened up and you experience life in a larger way than the way it is right now. So the very energies, the reverberation of the Dhyanalinga is created and consecrated in such a way that naturally it takes away the boundaries of your individual existence. If you sit there, people who have never known what it means to meditate just come and sit there, and they thought they'll sit for 5 minutes and go, they'll just sit there for 2 hours not knowing what happened. Because the boundaries of individual self are taken away, that's how the linga is created. And it is also handling on different days of the week, it is slightly different. Though the fundamental aspect is same, the surface aspects are different every day of the week. 7 days of the week you find 7 different qualities pertaining to 7 different dimensions of life. Or as in yoga, it is described as a chakras. So it is a yogic temple, that is, without doing yoga, you can do yoga. The idea of consecrating Dhyanalinga is, if we have to go about teaching meditation, there is a limitation, how many people you can instruct. But Dhyanalinga can instruct millions of people straight away, without a word. People can become meditative, that's the purpose.